Happy Monday, everyone, and happy belated birthday, Brent. We're extending your birthday celebration to today, from Saturday. So I hope the celebration just keeps on going for you. Make it extra special. Our warm-up today is going to consist of some dynamic triangle, 3 to 5 a side, single leg RDL, 3 to 5 a side, into a lunge of 6 to 10 alternating reps. We're just going to work on some nice smooth lunges. Single leg bridge march for 30 seconds, and you're going to hit that for 1 to 2 rounds. From there, we're going to move down to this bottom piece. We're just going to get the dumbbell involved today. We're going to do some butt kicks first off for 20 seconds. You can substitute this for a cardio piece of choice depending on what you're doing in the workout today. And then you're going to move into a single arm dumbbell deadlift for 3, into a single arm dumbbell clean for 2, and then single arm dumbbell push press 1 to 3 reps. You repeat that on the opposite side, and then you're going to practice a lateral step over, either a dumbbell variation or over a box, or even a lateral ski. And we'll show you those different options in our demo variations. You'll hit that a couple rounds, just practicing, get yourself up to working weight, which you feel comfortable with, and then you're going to move into the work set. The work set is 20 minutes. It's going to be a good time. You're looking at an 800 or 600 meter run. You're going to get a little bit of distance in there. Then you're going to hit up a single arm dumbbell swing, 5 per side. Then you're going to do single arm dumbbell lunge, 5 per side. And then you're going to do a single arm dumbbell push press, 5 a side, finishing off with some lateral step overs, be it a box, be it dumbbell, ski jump, depending on what you're going to play with here. You have 50 reps, so it's a little slower, it's a little longer, but it's going to be a nice chunk of work there for you guys. And then you'll repeat, and you're going to do that over and over again for 20 minutes. So it's going to be a couple rounds, but it's not going to be a huge scoring AMRAP. So please remember that. It's going to be, you'll get some cycles through, but it's not going to be a 10-rounder today. So let's prime you up. Let's get you ready. Let's warm you up and start the fun. All right, you guys, let's get those feet under those hips. We'll take the arms up big and tall overhead. Just going to stretch it to one side. There, come back through and stretch it to the other side. We're going to reach up overhead, shrugging those shoulders and taking it all the way to the floor. Just touching those toes. We'll walk up the shins. We'll come down, framing the foot, and stepping that foot back into your lizard. From here, we're going to lower the back knee, press the hip, come back to the center, press the hip, back to center, and press the hip, and come back through center. We'll step back into our down dog, setting those shoulders really well. We're going to walk those heels back and forth, nice and gentle. Just see where those tight spots are, just wake up the feet and those ankles. We'll come back into our plank and step the other foot up, nice and square, lowering that back knee. We're going to press the hip to center, press the hip, back to center, and press the hip, back to center. Straightening out the leg, again, stepping back into that down dog as we set those shoulders. We're going to walk the heels, super gentle, just making sure things feel pretty good right now. And then come back into our plank, tiptoeing those feet all the way back up, and then rolling ourselves all the way up with a big old stretch. And a reach to one side and to the other side. Nice. We'll come back down with the arms. I'll get you guys fired up and ready to go. So, pause the video if you have some extra movement you'd like to take down for you today that you know you need to do, especially if you know you're going to be doing some lunging, a little extra lower body stuff. Please do so. Pause the video and then come back and join me for what's to come. All right, we're going to work on a little bit of single leg stuff, plus a little bit of T-spine work, some with rotation. We're going to kickstart it all off with some dynamic triangles. We're going to get our feet out into that sumo stance position. We're going to turn one foot to the side. We're going to turn the other on an angle. So those hips are open on the side angle. Hand to the thigh. We're going to screw in the light bulb overhead. We're going to gently draw the hip back towards the heel as we slide down the shin. Keeping this arm up to the ceiling, we're going to pull back up into that overhead position. And then again, start that movement by pulling the hip back. Both legs remain straight as we do so. So we want to make sure that we're really focusing on keeping the legs straight and drawing the hip back into that heel. So once we come back through, again, that upper arm reaching to the ceiling, regardless of how deep we go down the shin or down the leg, this arm is always reaching up to the sky, allowing ourselves to really work on opening up that T-spine. Once we've done 3 to 5 per side, we're going to bring our feet in pretty narrow, so they're under the hips. And I'm going to turn profile for this so you guys can see my hip angle. I'm going to take my foot back just slightly, about a foot distance away. I'm going to pull my hips square to the front. So if I had 2 headlights on my hips, it's going to be nice shining forward for that. From here, we're going to draw the hips straight to the back wall, keeping that foot flat, keeping that body nice and square, and then slowly rising back up. Checking on those hips again. We draw the hips back, making sure things feel good. Stand tall, and again, reach up. It's always worth giving yourself that little extra check in the hips, just to make sure that nothing shifted or rotated as we stand back up. Because if it is, it's something to keep in mind as you're coming back out of that RDL and that hinge, that we want to make sure we're trying to stay square through the entire motion. Once we're done that single leg RDL, we're going to move into a lunge. And we're just going to alternate this lunge back and forth, or you can work on your standing lunge. So if you're going to do that alternating lunge, we're going to stand up nice and tall, roughly a squat stance, and we're just going to step forward, lowering down, and then standing back up, bringing those feet back together. We're just going to alternate back and forth. Or we can step back. So we're going to step our foot back, lower down, and then come back up into the center. And we're just going to alternate for 6 to 10 reps. Now with this lunge position, what we want to think about is that knee being stacked over the heel, my back knee under the hip, under the shoulder, and my toes curled under and my body tall. So we're trying to stack the shoulder, hip, and knee on top of each other. And that way it's going to give us a really good stacked lunge, and we can transition over into many different exercises. So now, once we're done all that, we get to lay down. So we've done our lunge, we've worked on kind of some single leg walking, and I move into some single leg bridge marching. So my feet are going to be past my hips. I'm going to take my hips and heels and line them up so my feet aren't wide. They're not super narrow either, but they're just in line with my hips. So nice, smooth kind of line of action from shoulder to foot. My arms are going to reach up to the ceiling, and I'm going to push the shoulders up a bit, pull the ribs in, and I'm going to push my hips up to the sky by pushing my feet down. Now continuing to focus on those 3 points, the shoulders, the ribs, and those feet. I'm going to really push down with that right or left foot and lift the opposite side. Then I'll put that foot down, push into that foot to lift the other foot. And you're going to walk that back and forth, really focusing on that pressure down into the floor. Now the pressure down is much more important than how high you lift the leg, because the harder we push down, the more stable we're going to be through our midsection and our body position. So really, really focus on that time into those feet. Right? And like I said, don't worry about the foot coming high. You can even do it too, so you push down with that foot, and if you're a little off balance, you can just lift that foot and keeping a toe down loosely to keep yourself balanced a little bit more until you get a little bit more comfortable in that position. Now as a quick recap, we have a dynamic triangle for 3 to 5 a side, single leg RDL for 3 to 5 a side, and then a lunge, either forward and back and forward, or the standing lunge option for 6 to 10 alternating reps, which works out to 3 to 5 per side on that standing lunge variation. Once we're done that, single leg bridge march for 30 seconds, working on that pressure to the floor. You'll hit that for 1 to 2 rounds. That's going to generate some good heat and some good awareness into the lower body to make sure we know what's going on down there before we move into these more dynamic movements. So let's pause that video, let's rock that top piece, and let's take down that next phase of our warm-up. Okay, we've kind of warmed up the body, got a little bit of rotation work in there, some single leg stuff. Now let's get our body nice and warm. So what we're going to start off with is a little bit of butt kick action or cardio of choice that you're going to use in the work set. So I'm going to turn profile and kind of go through the butt kick with you guys. I'm going to hold on to my index and thumb just to get a little bit of tension there. And I'm going to use that like I'm holding on to tissue paper. So I'm not trying to break the tissue. just try not to lose it either. So from here, I'm going to pull this foot up under my glute. I'm going to use that hamstring to get that foot up underneath of my hip. Now from here, my knee is going to come forward slightly, but I'm trying to keep my foot nice and set underneath of my body. So it's not coming out in front, nor is it going way behind me. It's just coming right up underneath of me as I do this little walk. Now with this walk, I can turn it into a jog. I can turn it into a faster run. The whole time I'm trying to maintain that orientation of the foot underneath of the body. So really focus in on that and take it at the speed that you can maintain. This is a really good movement to kind of engage and find that pull of the leg instead of the push in the leg that most people tend to do when they run heel-toe. So we want to really embrace this butt kick and really start working on that technique for running. Now after we're done that, we're going to move into some single arm work with the dumbbell because that's where we're living in the workout today. We are going to do some single arm dumbbell deadlifts. So what's going to happen is we're going to get that dumbbell in between our feet. And we're going to just do a sumo today because we are transitioning this into a dumbbell swing, and this is where the dumbbell will be in that swing. So I'm going to turn profile so you can see my hips. So standing up nice and tall, I'm going to draw my hips back like I did in the single leg RDL, but with both feet on the ground. I'm going to draw my hips back, and I'm going to lower down to the dumbbell, taking hold, gripping that dumbbell, and standing through the legs and opening up the hips. I'm then going to draw the hips back and down again, taking the dumbbell to my desired depth, and I can maintain my back position. I'm going to do that 3 times. Once I've done my third deadlift, I'm going to move into my single arm dumbbell clean. So I can do this from the hang, I can do it from the floor. If I'm going to do it from the hang, I'm going to take the dumbbell to the knee, I'm going to push through those legs, pull in that little power position, standing tall with the dumbbell on my shoulder. I might have to adjust my feet, I might not. Coming back down with the dumbbell. Now if I'm taking it from the floor, I'm going to take the dumbbell all the way down to where I was for my deadlift, push through those legs, building speed, pulling into that dumbbell, and setting it on my shoulder. So the back of the dumbbell is resting on my shoulder in the front rack position, and now I'm going to bring my feet in under my hips. I set my ribs, I'm nice and tall. I'm going to work on a push press. I'm going to dip, big drive, and that's going to get the dumbbell up overhead as I pull it back to the shoulder. So I dip, press overhead with that big push with the legs, and I come back down. So the dip, we want to make sure that as I dip, my hips and shoulders stay on top of one another, and I'm as vertical as I can be. My feet are flat, pressing through the floor, so that when I go to change directions, I get a really good drive and a really good engagement through the legs and the hips to save my arm a little bit in the press, because we want to use the hips and the legs, getting a little bit of speed and momentum on the dumbbell. Once I've done 1 to 3 push press on that side, I'll transition back to the other side. So I'll do single arm dumbbell deadlift for 3, into my single arm dumbbell clean for 2, building a little bit of speed off of the deadlift, and then I'll use those hips and legs to get the speed on the dumbbell to press that thing overhead. Now my last exercise here can be one of 3 things today. What we're looking at perhaps is a lateral movement, perhaps over at the dumbbell. So we can work on a little skip or a high knee step if you'd like. So working on just going back and forth, side to side, over top of the dumbbell. I can do a lateral ski jump, so I pull everything together, I explode as I swing my arms, and I use that reach, that explosive swing of the upper body and the lower body together to get a nice little explosive sideways jump. Or I can do a sideways step, and I can still get that speed, but I just don't lift that back leg until my other leg is securely on the floor. Last but not least, if you do have an apparatus you can use in this to do the lateral box step over, you can practice this movement up and over an object. So I have my box or my object that is stable and it's not going to tip, and I'm going to get my knee stacked over top of my heel. I'm going to push through that leg and pop to the other side. I'm going to go side to I can keep my foot up on top of that object, making sure I'm working on ankle mobility, knee over heel, and it does just take out the tripping hazard in that movement. So I'd much rather see you keep that foot up there than risk tripping on the box because you just didn't get your foot up high enough on that lateral step over. So a couple cool exercises to play with. If you're like, hey, I want to do all three, play with them, have fun with them. Enjoy that kind of movement set and see how it gets you warmed up for the workout and see what you want to do in today's workout. Because you might not want to do the lateral step over. Maybe you want to do the lateral ski or the step over on the dumbbell. Have at it. It's going to be a great sideways exercise that you can build off of. Now, quick little recap. We have a butt kick, 20 seconds, or cardio piece of choice. Single arm dumbbell deadlift for 3. Single arm dumbbell clean for 2. And a single arm dumbbell push press for 1 to 3. Then we have our lateral step over of any sort, 4 to 6 alternating reps, just a tiny taste. And then just repeat that 2, 3, maybe 4 times to get your heart rate up, ready to go before we turn you loose on the workout. So pause the video, just get yourself ready. We're going to talk about the movements in our workout today. We've made it to the workout, everyone. 20-minute AMRAP coming at you. You're going to kickstart off with an 800-meter run or 600-meter run or cardio piece of choice. So check the workout description for those options and make that piece yours. After that, we're going to do a single arm dumbbell swing 5 per side. Now this is an interesting little exercise. To start it off, we have to deadlift it. And we're going to hold it by the handle. Now with this swing, it's the same as if we were doing a two-handed swing or a kettlebell swing, except we're going to hold the handle. You're going to get those hips coming back. The hand is going to stay above the knee. So we're trying to keep that hand close to the zipper. And we're going to work on that good back position. Now the cool thing about the swing is you can take it as high or as low as you are comfortable with that movement. So we want to make sure that we're only taking it as high as that shoulder and that body position will allow so that we are in a good position through the midsection so we're not breaking through the back. On that second note, we want to make sure that when we come back into that hinge, or in that nice hinge position, that power position, the same position I would use is if I was jumping. So we want to use those legs and hips to do the majority of the work, and the arm just kind of carries through the momentum given to the dumbbell by the legs and the hips. So play with that. I love these things. They're a lot of fun. It's a nice change of pace from just a normal two-hand kettlebell or dumbbell swing. So it's a really good opportunity to work on some good positioning. You'll do 5 per side. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the dumbbell to the side in a suitcase position. Now the dumbbell is going to stay on this side, and we're going to alternate our legs for 5 reps. So we'll step for 1, 2, and then 3. So the feet go back and forth, alternating, but the hand stays. Once we've done 5, we'll switch sides with the dumbbell, and then those feet will just keep alternating back and forth for 5 reps. So you're going to do 10 lunges, total count, but the dumbbell is going to stay on one side for 5, other side for 5. You can do a back lunge, and you can do a couple different options that I have set up for you guys in the workout description. So check that out, and we'll have some different options for you if lunging is not such a good thing for you today. Now, last but not least, with the dumbbell, we have our push press. So the only catch to this one is you just have to clean the dumbbell up, and then you'll work through that push press like we did in our warm-up. So if you need any points of performance on that, check that previous portion of our warm-up, get those points of performance, hit that push press hard. Just know we're doing 5 on one side, 5 on the other side. Then to finish off the round, you're going to do a lateral box step over for 50 alternating reps, or the exercise that you chose from that warm-up with that lateral step over. So you could use a ski jump, you could do a dumbbell step over, you could do a hurdle step over, whatever it happens to be. Just know that every time you cross the apparatus that you're doing, that's 1 rep. So 1, 2, 3, 4, total count of 50. And then you'll repeat. You'll hit that up for 20 minutes, seeing where you get into this work set, banking those reps. Loading for this, depending on what you have access to, can be on the heavier side, but you should be able to do 5 on one side, 5 on the other side unbroken, and you don't necessarily want to have to put the dumbbell down too much in this workout. So experiment with some different loading if you have access to it. This is a great workout just for some really good dumbbell flow back and forth, but you can challenge yourself or choose to stay a little lighter and just really cycle that movement really well for 20 minutes. I hope you have a great extended birthday celebration, Brent. I hope you have fun with this one. I hope you all have a good time with this because it's a really cool little work set. As always, work for quality, have a ton of fun, and we'll see you tomorrow for some more fun. Bye, you guys.